Imagine for a moment that everything you've lived through, every victory, every loss, every so-called coincidence, has never been the result of chance, but the direct outcome of your own creative power. Yes, within you resides a silent, immense divine force, waiting to be awakened. This text is a key that opens the door to the most transcendent knowledge there is. You are the creator of your reality. Where you place your attention, you place your energy, and where you place your energy, the universe bends to shape your thoughts, your emotions, and your deepest beliefs. Join me on this inner journey inspired by the timeless teachings of Conny Mendez, a woman who transformed metaphysical wisdom into a living art of conscious creation. Here you'll discover that your words are never innocent, your thoughts are brushes, and that each day, knowingly or not, you're painting the canvas of your existence. Prepare to look within, to reunite with your creator self, and to realize that the power you've been searching for has always been within you. This is not just a text, it is an awakening, and it is your consciousness calling you back to remember who you truly are, a divine spark with the gift to create universes through the mind. You're going to laugh, but let me tell you something that happened to me in the kitchen a few years ago. I was about to make a papaya sweet, one of those desserts that turns out finger-licking good. I had all the ingredients measured, the flame low, the aroma filling the house, and then the phone rang. I got distracted. I left the pot unattended for just 5 little minutes. When I came back, the bottom was burnt, and that bitter taste had taken over, the kind you can't get rid of no matter what. What failed? My attention, not the flame, not the recipe, not the ingredients. It was simply that I took my eyes off the process, and that was enough to ruin something that was about to be perfect. That's exactly how life works. Attention is like a magic wand. Everything you touch with it, you activate. If you focus it on what you love, that grows. If you leave it on what worries you, that grows too. If you focus on lack, it multiplies. If you focus on health, it strengthens. The universe doesn't distinguish between what you want and what you fear. The universe responds to your focused consciousness, just as the pan responds to the fire. Many people ask, why doesn't my affirmation work? Why doesn't what I ask for manifest? Why does the good take so long to come? And I always tell them, my dear, it's not enough to just say it. You have to see it, feel it, hold it. Because wherever you place your attention, there you are with all your power. And whatever you don't attend to, weakens, dissolves, disappears. That is true alchemy, and that's why in this book I'm going to teach you how to use that wand consciously, to know when to withdraw it, when to affirm it, when to hold it, and when to let it go. You're going to learn to say clearly, I withdraw my attention from this and I place it on what I want to see grow. That simple, that powerful. There is no more transformative technique than this, and you don't need anything external. Only your awakened mind, your directed gaze, and your aligned heart. So get ready, because what's coming isn't theory, it's living practice. And when you finish this book, you'll never focus the same way again. Thank you, Father, for it is already done. The wand of attention, where you set your sight, you set your life. Based on the teachings of Conny Mendez, we've noticed that more than 80% of people who visit our channel aren't subscribed. You can support this project by pressing the subscribe button and giving the video a like. Thank you for inspiring us to keep creating more and better content for you. Are you ready to transform your life? Chapter 1, The Secret Behind Focus. You're going to love this. When you grab one of those little round magnifying glasses with a black handle, the kind we used as kids to play detectives or burn dry leaves under the sun, what you're really doing, without realizing it, is a perfect demonstration of the power of attention. Pay close attention here, because this is where one of life's greatest secrets begins to reveal itself. If you move that magnifying glass from side to side, nothing happens. Everything stays the same. But if you pause for a moment, adjust it, and hold it still on a single point, zap! Smoke starts to appear. If you keep it steady, fire comes to life. And that little flame doesn't come from the magnifying glass or the leaf or the sun. It comes from the point of convergence that forms when energy becomes aligned and sustained. That's exactly how your attention works. And the most important part, you are the magnifying glass. Your attention isn't just looking with your eyes or thinking about something for a bit. It's a living, intelligent, directed force, the channel through which your divinity pours itself onto whatever you're focusing on. Where you place your attention, you place your whole life, your body, your emotions, your mind, and most powerfully, your spirit. What you focus on, you activate. What you sustain, you create. That's why there's so much confusion about reality. People think things just exist on their own. But in truth, they exist because we see them, talk about them, affirm them, and feel them every day. Like that little leaf under the sun. Ignore it and nothing happens. Focus on it and it ignites. That's energy. Now then, what is attention really? It's not just thought, and it's not just emotion. It's the perfect union of sustained thought, charged feeling, and a present body. Because if you're looking at something with your eyes, but thinking of something else and feeling something entirely different, the energy scatters. Nothing lights up. But if you manage to bring thought, emotion, and body into full alignment, as when someone is hypnotized in love or afraid, then that ray of power activates. And believe me, my love, whatever is beneath that ray transforms. Attention works like a vibrational frequency, a wave that moves toward wherever you direct it, and that wave doesn't travel empty. It carries whatever you've packed into it. If you focus with fear, the wave carries fear. If you focus with gratitude, the wave carries love. If you focus with anger, desire, anxiety, faith, or joy, that's what goes flying out. And since the entire universe is receptive to waves, it responds at the same frequency. It's not just that you're looking, it's how you're looking. That's why people say, where you place your attention, you place your power. But we need to go further. You place your power with the quality of your attention. Here's where that naive belief collapses. The one that says, seeing evil makes you good because you denounce it. Or that worrying about someone is a form of love. None of that is true. If you focus on evil, you feed it. If you concentrate on disease, even if your intention is to fight it, you energize it. Attention is neutral, like the sun through the magnifying glass. It doesn't judge. It doesn't think about right or wrong. It simply ignites whatever you give it. That's why we must let go of those old labels, good attention and bad attention. Those categories don't exist in the vibrational world. All attention is power. What changes is the result. Picture something simple and beautiful. A lit candle, a white flower, a hummingbird hovering in still air. Bring your attention to that image and feel you're seeing it with the eyes of your soul. Now add gratitude. Silently say thank you for existing and truly feel it. Stay there for 1 minute. Don't fight other thoughts. Just return to the image. Then open your eyes. What do you feel? A bit of warmth? Calm? Expansion? That's aligned attention, focus, the fire that ignites the good. Listen, my love, no one taught you this in school, but this is the most powerful tool you have, your capacity to focus. And the wildest part? You use it constantly without realizing it. Your attention is like a faucet that never stops dripping, sometimes right over what you don't want to grow, anxiety, judgment, pain, comparison, the past. And when you keep looking at it, the universe, ever obedient, simply replies, "Oh, that's what you want, here's more of it." So now you know there's no good or bad attention, only conscious or unconscious attention, directed power or wasted power. Every instant gives you a choice. Where will you look? Not with your eyes, but with your soul. That choice determines not just what you see, but what you live. Remember always, what you focus on multiplies, and what multiplies, you live. Thank you, Father, for it is already done. Chapter 2, The Trap of Evil, Looking Where You Shouldn't. My dear one, have you ever noticed a small stain on the wall? Something minor that the more you look at it, the bigger it seems? You glance at it today, again tomorrow, and soon it feels like the whole house is falling apart. That's exactly how evil works. It's not big or powerful on its own. It feeds on your gaze, your thoughts, your comments, and your judgments. It feeds on your energy, your attention. Just as fire needs wood, evil needs focus. If you stop giving it attention, it burns out by itself. You might say, "But Conny, how can I ignore what's wrong? Should I pretend it isn't there?" No, my love. It's not about denying reality. It's about withdrawing the current of energy you send through emotional attention. There's a huge difference between seeing something consciously and observing it neutrally versus feeding it with emotion, complaint, and words. The first is awareness. The second is complicity. Evil without you has no life, it has no substance of its own. It's like a balloon that only exists as long as you keep blowing air into it, and that air is your vibrational focus. The law of mentalism says all is mind. That means everything is consciousness in action. What you think, feel, and sustain becomes form. What you don't think, don't energize, and ignore from the awareness of I am fades away. So the question isn't, how do I destroy evil? But why am I keeping it alive in my consciousness? And often, the answer is simple, because we're looking where we shouldn't. Once I had an acquaintance who was a drama sponge. Every conversation was a stream of complaints: the neighbor, the government, her illness, her jealousy. Out of politeness, I'd listen, not realizing I was stepping into her movie. Every time I hung up, I felt drained and heavy, and it wasn't even my life. What was happening? I was lending my wand of attention to someone else's darkness. So one day, I decided to stop. I wouldn't deny her experience, but I wouldn't feed it either. Whenever she spoke of something dark, I silently thought of her light. I didn't correct or preach. I just held the image of her goodness, like watering a flower instead of the worm eating it. And you know what? Without me doing anything outwardly, she changed. She complained less, started talking about her studies, her grandson, her art. I withdrew my focus from the drama, and the drama withdrew itself. That's the power of attention. It's not passive. It's the greatest act of co-creation we have. Evil, whether it's pain, conflict, or destruction, isn't a force opposite to good. It's simply misdirected energy, divine energy twisted by fear, guilt, judgment, gossip, or the desire to punish. Evil is crooked focus, and the only way to straighten it isn't by fighting it, but by changing your focus. Now let's touch on something delicate: the media. It's tempting to stay informed, but informed about what? Robberies, wars, diseases, scandals. The more you watch, the stronger those vibrations become in collective consciousness. You might say, but I can't change the world. That's not true. You can, but you're using your magic wand to magnify what you don't want. If you hold a flashlight, you choose where to point it, toward the garbage bin or the altar. Whatever you illuminate becomes visible. The rest fades into shadow, not because it doesn't exist, but because you're not feeding it. Your attention works the same way. Look at evil with fear or anger, and you light up the garbage. Look at goodness with gratitude and love, and you illuminate the altar. And here comes one of the most powerful verses in the Bible. Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if there is any virtue, if there is anything praiseworthy, think about these things. Philippians 4:8. It doesn't say think about the world's problems so you can fix them. It doesn't say focus on the news so you won't be naive. It says think about these things: the pure, the beautiful, the just, the kind. Why? Because that's where you create the solution. That's where evil transmutes into good, because evil, like mold, cannot withstand the light of elevated consciousness. Exercise, 60 seconds, turning the focus. When you feel yourself falling into the focus of evil, bad news, criticism, worry, do this simple practice. Stop what you're doing. Take a deep breath and say, I withdraw my attention from this and place it upon the good. Imagine turning a flashlight toward an image of beauty, health, or harmony. Hold that image for 1 minute. Feel the energy shift, breathe, and end by saying, Thank you, Father, for it is already done. This tiny act is more powerful than 1,000 complaints, because you're not running away from the world. You're correcting the focus. That's living metaphysics, not spiritual theory. Before closing, let me leave you with a little home parable. A boy came home upset because a classmate bothered him every day, shouting, pulling his sweater, hiding his notebooks. The mother didn't get angry. She said, each time you see him, look into his eyes and think of his soul, not his behavior. Imagine him as a bright, joyful boy, even if you can't see it yet. The boy obeyed, not really understanding. A week later, the other boy stopped bothering him. One day he even helped carry his backpack. The mother smiled and said, See, son, it wasn't the boy who had to change. It was your attention. My dear, this world is full of ugly things. I won't deny it. But you decide whether to give them power. Attention is like a bank account. Wherever you deposit, grows. Don't deposit in evil. Don't invest in drama. Don't put your gold into what you don't want multiplied. Withdraw your attention, not as someone who runs away, but as someone who has graduated from that lesson. And when you don't know where to look, return to Philippians 4:8. That's not just religious advice, it's a vibrational key to conscious creation. And as always, with all certainty, I tell you, thank you, Father, for it is already done. Chapter 3. Goodness as an anchor point. Let's begin this chapter with an urgent correction to the mental dictionary most people carry around. Goodness is not a behavior, nor a moral code, nor a list of commandments. Goodness, with a capital G, is a constructive, creative, vibrant force that uplifts, brings joy, multiplies life, harmonizes the environment, and expands your being. It is living energy, the closest frequency to the divine that you can experience on this earth. And it is there, my dear, where we must anchor our attention if we want to live in tune with the I Am. But there's a common trap, thinking that being good means behaving well. Not at all. Many times, behaving well is just repression, social hypocrisy, or fear of punishment. Goodness does not judge, does not impose, does not demand sacrifice. Goodness is harmony made visible, and you recognize it by one single thing. It produces expansion and joy. That deep breath that fills your chest, that smile that appears for no reason, that quiet peace you feel with yourself and the world. That is goodness. Now let's weave this together with attention. If you already know that attention is the channel through which your divine power flows, then fixing your attention on the good is not a decorative gesture or a self-help slogan. It is an act of creation of the highest order. When you anchor your attention on what is beautiful, elevated, grateful, and full of light, even if you don't fully understand why, you are literally planting seeds of a higher reality. Imagine your attention as a watering can, and in your garden you have two patches of soil, one full of flowers, the other full of weeds. If you water the flowers grow. If you water the weeds grow. You might say, well, the weeds are bigger, I need to take care of them. Wrong. You don't need to take care of what you don't want to multiply. Just withdraw the water, and it will dry up on its own. Goodness grows by itself if you simply hold it with constant attention. Now let me tell you the story of Doña Matilde, a woman I met in Caracas who was one of those living miracles you never forget. She was diagnosed with a degenerative illness. The doctors told her it was irreversible, that word that makes you want to spit when you hear it. But she listened calmly. She came to see me and said, "Conny, I want to understand this illness. I want to look where beauty lives. Teach me how to look well." And I told her, you don't need to understand it. You just need to turn away from it with elegance and with art. I gave her a very simple task. Each day spend 15 minutes visualizing herself surrounded by a soft pink cloud, warm and luminous, gentle as cotton, tender as an embrace. I told her that this color carries the frequency of divine love, and that if she could hold it with joy, gratitude, and sweetness, that healing energy would begin to move through her body, not as a medicine fighting illness, but as a presence of good dissolving what no longer had a purpose. Weeks passed. Doña Matilde became an expert in visualizing pink. She filled her home with pink flowers. She dressed in pink. She watched happy movies. She cooked in silence. She prayed with gratitude. She didn't talk about the illness. She didn't deny it, but she simply refused to feed it her attention. One day she called me and said, "Conny, the doctors say my body is changing. They don't understand why." And I replied, "They don't need to understand, my dear. Goodness has its own logic. When you hold it steady, it takes care of everything." That is goodness as an anchor, not as an idea, but as a living force. Now ask yourself, where is your attention during the day? On complaints, fears, worries, or on birdsong, delicious food, a kind touch, the air you breathe? Goodness is always present. We simply don't look at it. Here's a simple formula to know where you stand. If you feel tense, restless, judgmental, or closed, you've disconnected from goodness. If you feel light, serene, open, and loving, you're anchored. You don't need holiness, you need discipline, kindness, and a little spiritual good taste. Because goodness, my darling, is also a matter of taste. Some people are addicted to drama only because they've never tasted how delicious it is to live in inner peace. You have to educate your vibrational palate, like someone learning to enjoy fine tea after years of soda. Exercise of visualization, the pink anchor of goodness. Sit or lie down in silence, keeping your spine straight. Close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths. Visualize a soft, luminous pink cloud above your head. Let that cloud slowly descend, wrapping you like a warm mantle. Feel your whole body soaking in that color, your skin, your organs, your thoughts. Repeat mentally, I am attention anchored in goodness, and only goodness can manifest in my life. Stay in that feeling for a few minutes. Then open your eyes and say, thank you, Father, it is already done. Do this at least once a day. It takes no more than 5 minutes, like watering your soul with holy water. And if you can, hold that state while cooking, driving, or walking. That's what I call living with floating awareness in the good. It doesn't mean you ignore the rest. It means you've chosen your vibrational home, and from there, everything looks different. To close this chapter, remember something simple yet rarely practiced. Whatever you want to see in your life, look at it more. Look at it with love. Look at it with joy. Look at it with intention. And withdraw your attention from everything you no longer wish to see, not out of cowardice, but out of mastery. Goodness doesn't need to fight. It only needs space. And that space is created by you. With your attention focused like a lens, like a watering can, like a lantern that never tires of shining, you decide every single day which reality you will give life to. And I tell you, with all the faith in the world, thank you, Father, it is already done. Chapter 4, the muscle of focus. Let's be clear from the start. Attention is not a magical gift you're born with, nor a talent reserved for monks or gurus. Attention is like a muscle. If you don't use it, it atrophies. If you train it, it becomes strong, agile, and obedient. Leave it alone and it does whatever it wants, like a spoiled puppy that slips under the fence every time it sees a butterfly. Have you ever sat down to do something important, reading, meditating, talking to someone, or even watching a movie, and suddenly your mind is wandering through the grocery list, yesterday's argument? What if it doesn't work? What if I get sick? What if they reject me? That's not coincidence. That's lack of training. Your mind isn't bad or rebellious. It's simply undisciplined because no one ever taught it to hold focus like a responsible adult. Think of it this way. Your mind is like a playful puppy. You call it, it runs away. You sit it down, it wiggles. You speak, it barks at the wind. What do? You don't yell or punish it. If you're wise, you train it, patiently, lovingly, consistently. You teach it commands like sit, stay, come. Over time, the puppy learns to stay because it trusts your guidance. Your mind is that puppy. Training it is not about repression or control. It's about becoming its conscious owner and teaching it that you are in charge. You decide what to look at, how long to look, what emotion to bring, and when to shift your gaze. That is true spiritual mastery, not seeing angels or levitating, but holding focus for more than a minute without drifting away. Here's the truth. Sustained focus is not natural. It's cultivated. Just as no one is born knowing how to dance, cook, or play the piano, no one is born with a disciplined mind. We grow up surrounded by distractions, fears, habits, and noise, so don't punish yourself for getting distracted, but don't excuse it either. Simply begin to train it. Picture this. Your attention is a beam of light shooting from your forehead. If that beam moves constantly, it barely illuminates. But when you hold it steady, it begins to heat, penetrate, and transform. In metaphysics, this is called sustained energy focus. And do you know why prayers, affirmations, and decrees often don't work? Because there's no focus. We say one thing and think another. We decree for a moment, then forget it like blowing a wish into the wind, and nothing manifests. So, my dear, let's start with the basics. Here comes a simple practice. Simple, yes, but not easy. And precisely because of that, profoundly powerful. The 1-minute full attention exercise. Objective. Hold a single thought, image, or affirmation for 60 seconds without distraction. Choose a clear focus. For example, I am the light that never fails. I am at peace, and all is well. Or visualize a candle, a flower, or the face of a loved one. Sit comfortably, close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths. Then hold the thought or image steady without moving or changing it. Count slowly to 60 in your mind. If your attention wanders, don't punish yourself. Simply bring it back and start again. You'll notice your mind drifting at 10, 20, or 45 seconds. That's normal. Just return each time. Do this daily. It takes less than 2 minutes and gives you more clarity than an hour of complaints. It's like lifting weights for your consciousness. Difficult at first, but eventually it makes you unshakable. To take it further, observe when and why your mind drifts. In morning meditation, work thoughts might arise. Breathe and return. While reading, curiosity may pull you to your phone. Put it aside and refocus. During a conversation, fatigue might scatter your attention. Bring it back to the eyes of the person speaking. Do this for a week, not to judge yourself, but to discover patterns. You'll see that distraction isn't intentional, it's automatic, and you'll realize you can transform it by making focus a habit. A loving warning. The ego doesn't want you to train attention. Why? Because the ego, like a spoiled child, feeds on distraction. It loves when you jump from thought to thought, worry about what hasn't happened, or repeat what no longer serves you. As long as you're distracted, it runs your life unseen. So when you begin to train your focus, the ego will resist, whispering, "It's boring. You don't have time. You already know this. Do it tomorrow. Don't listen." It's just the puppy whining for the sofa. It's not suffering. It's testing your will. Respond with gentle firmness. Not now. We are focusing. If you can hold your attention, even for short intervals, you'll see immediate changes in your energy, mood, clarity, and creative power. Sustained attention is like a laser. It cuts through fog, melts fear, and transforms reality. I don't say this because I read it. I say it because I lived it. I trained my mind like taming a wild horse, and now I ride it with joy. It still gets distracted, but it no longer drags me away. I bring it back, and that, my dear, is an act of self-love beyond measure. Remember this phrase as your mantra. My attention is my power, and I direct it consciously. And with that, as always, thank you, Father, it is already done. Chapter 5. What are you paying attention to without realizing it? My dear, now that you understand how attention works as a creative wand, that focusing is choosing which part of reality you nourish, it's time for an uncomfortable but necessary discovery. You are paying attention to many things without realizing it. While you're busy with breakfast, work, social media, the weather, or others' opinions, your energy flows silently toward what you do not want, what doesn't uplift you, and even what you don't intend to maintain. The worst part, you don't even know it. I call this zombie attention. It's not bad or foolish. It's simply on autopilot, like a refrigerator running when no one's home. And here's the shocking truth. Unconscious attention has as much power as conscious attention. It keeps creating, even when you're not aware. Let's look at everyday examples. I had a neighbor, may God bless her, who never missed a single gossip program. From 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., her TV was an altar to scandal. Who left whom? Surgeries, celebrity drama. She said it distracted her, and I thought, yes, but it also drags you. Paying attention to judgment, mockery, drama, or emotional poison isn't passive, it's absorbing. It's like sitting by an open dumpster because you enjoy the view. You may not touch it, but you breathe it in, and it changes your mood, thoughts, and consciousness. Later, without knowing why, you feel tired, critical, frustrated, and blame the weather. That's how subtle the trap is. Everything must come into awareness, not to create paranoia or self-repression, but to choose from love, not habit. Think about your day. How often you dwell on what you don't want, complain without realizing it, check your phone for nothing and find fear, envy, or anger, or repeat mental stories of victimhood, scarcity, or guilt simply because they play automatically. You are paying attention without knowing it. You are sowing without intending to. To see this clearly, let's do a small self-test, not for scoring, but to illuminate what was dark. Personal test. What am I paying attention to without realizing? Answer honestly as it really is. First thing upon waking. A. Give thanks. B. Check phone. C. Think about problems. Daily news consumption. A. None, very little. B. Just enough to stay informed. C. All day unconsciously. Alone thoughts: A. Joy. B. Tasks, problems. C. What could go wrong? Conversations: A. Inspiring, joyful. B. Neutral, informative. C. Complaints/criticism/comparisons. Emotional influence from others: A. Very little. B. Quite a lot, but manageable. C. A lot. I absorb outside states. If most answers are B or C, there's no need to worry. This is simply awareness. What is unseen cannot be transformed, but what is brought into consciousness can always be redirected. Now let's go deeper. I propose a practice to become a detective of your attention for a full day. 24-hour attention journal. Exercise. Take a small notebook or open a note on your phone. Every 2 hours, pause for a minute and ask yourself, where is my attention right now? How do I feel about it? Does this expand or contract me? Do I want to keep giving it energy? Write without filtering. At the end of the day, review your notes and ask, how much of this did I choose consciously? How much was automatic? What can I change tomorrow? I promise you, this exercise is worth more than 1,000 spiritual retreats. There is nothing more spiritual than becoming aware of yourself. Not to punish yourself, but to take the reins. Not every thought is truly yours. Some were implanted, inherited, or repeated because you saw them at home, school, or on the street. But if your consciousness is awake, you can choose not to adopt them anymore. You can say, thank you for your service, but I no longer need you, and release them with love. A simple rule. Any thought that does not make you feel bigger, freer, more loving, or more alive does not deserve your attention. It's not about truth or falsehood. It's about whether it elevates you or sinks you, brings peace or takes it away, inspires or overwhelms. That is the measure. Returning to my neighbor, one day I asked her if she ever got tired of hearing the same scandals on TV. She said, "It makes me feel accompanied." Then I understood. She didn't want gossip. She wanted to feel less alone, but she had learned to cover her need with poison. So I suggested, what if you play soft music instead? What if you put flowers on the table? What if you call someone to talk about beautiful things? Gradually, she realized she could attend to what she wanted instead of what she didn't want. She didn't change overnight, but she started choosing, and that is the key. Your attention is an investment. Do not give your energy to what you do not wish to sustain. Every thought is a seed. I choose to plant only what I want to harvest, and as always, with a smile, joy, and certainty. Thank you, Father, it is already done. Chapter 6. Attention as the Magnet of Destiny. Now, my dear, we are about to enter one of the greatest, and at the same time simplest mysteries of human life. You do not live what happens to you. You live what you focus on. Plain and simple, no unnecessary mysticism. What you have been looking at, thinking about, feeling, and holding in your consciousness for days, weeks, months, or years becomes form, event, circumstance. That is why I tell you, attention not only creates reality, it attracts destiny, and it does so according to the exact law of cause and effect, which never fails. Attention is the seed of destiny. If you do not understand it this way, you will continue believing that life is an unfair lottery, that there is luck, punishment, pre-written destiny, karma, or that God sends tests. None of that. What exists is a living law that responds with mathematical precision to the direction of your conscious energy, which flows wherever you look, speak, and sustain. Let's break this down logically, step by step. The vibrational cycle of destiny. You focus on something, an idea, emotion, image, desire, complaint, or fear. By focusing, you give it life and energize it as if planting a seed. That sustained focus generates a stable frequency, an invisible magnetic field, which attracts by the law of affinity what is on the same vibration. What you attract manifests as an external circumstance. Someone, an event, a coincidence, a crisis, an opportunity. As you live it, it confirms your thoughts, and if you are not conscious, the cycle repeats endlessly. Let me give you clear examples to imprint this in your consciousness. Relationships, health, and money. The three universal magnets of destiny. Toxic relationships. How many times have you heard, "I always get partners who hurt me"? The answer lies in what you are constantly seeing. If you focus on betrayal or repeat past wounds mentally, you unknowingly tune your vibrational field to attract it. To change the focus, not with anger or struggle, but with loving firmness, start looking at what you do want. Respect, tenderness, trust, joy. Sustain it, decree it, cultivate it internally, and it begins to seek you because what you focus on focuses you. Health. Misdirected energy weakens the system. Focus on fear, anxiety, guilt, or resentment, and you generate an internal vibration that destabilizes your field, eventually manifesting in the body. People often recite diagnoses like their name. I am diabetic, I have arthritis. Identifying with imbalance feeds it, but when you shift the discourse, I am recovering my health. My body responds to light. Every cell obeys in harmony. You stop sowing illness and begin sowing regeneration. The body responds to the vibrational order it receives. Money. Attention placed on scarcity generates more scarcity. Attention placed on abundance opens new pathways. Some people think about lack all day, yet wonder why prosperity doesn't flow. Transforming the focus, appreciating what you have, celebrating what flows, speaking about what you want rather than fearing, aligns destiny. Money comes not from effort, but from vibrational alignment. Decrees is vibrational medicine. You may ask, Conny, how do I change that focus after years of thinking the same way? The answer is simple. Use your words as a reset tool. That is why decrees exist, not as pretty phrases to decorate the day, but as vibrational commands that reprogram your mental and emotional field. When your field changes, your destiny changes too. Here are some powerful decrees to reorient your attention and plant a new destiny. Use them upon waking, before sleep, or whenever you notice yourself slipping into old patterns. I am attention fixed on what I wish to see manifested. My mind obeys the direction of spirit. All I focus on with love expands in blessings. My energy creates my path, and I choose to create light. I withdraw my attention from all I do not want to experience and place it on what I do wish to live. Repeat them with feeling, intention, and firmness. Do not make them hollow prayers. Let them be an act of inner governance, because that is what decrees are for a conscious being who has decided to stop living reactively. Here, my dear, we return to the central teaching of this chapter. Your destiny is not guessed, it is cultivated. You cultivate it with your focus. What you water grows, what you ignore withers. What you feed defines you. What you bless blesses you. There is no punishment, no chance, no hidden demon. There are laws, and you are their executor. So today, with this clarity in your hands, choose to look only at what deserves to become your future. And if your focus drifts, it doesn't matter. Bring it back, again and again. Each time you return, say with joy, "Thank you, Father, it is already done." Chapter 7. The I Am and the Wand of Power. Look, my dear, if this entire book could be summed up in one sentence, it would be this. Where you place your attention, you place your power. And if I were allowed a second line, I would add, when you place your attention from the I Am, your power becomes invincible. Here, we are not just talking about mental concentration, meditation techniques, or controlling thoughts as if training an emotional robot. We are talking about the conscious activation of your divine presence, the living flame within you that needs only recognition, invocation, and use. That presence is called the I Am, the true holder of the wand of your attention. The I Am is not a word game or a pretty phrase. It is the awareness of God individualized in you. It is not an outside God, nor a spirit up there, nor an entity that judges or rewards. It is the absolute power of the good manifesting through you. When you say I am consciously, you are invoking the substance of spirit in action. Here I am. I am one with the principle. You are activating the purest creative current that exists. What follows that I am is crucial. If you say I am sick, you fix the illness. If you say I am poor, you decree scarcity. Your focus determines the expression of divine power. Here is a subtle but vital distinction. The ego also focuses, but from lack, comparison, urgency, and fear. It focuses on what is missing or threatened. Yet this force has no sustaining power because the ego has no creative substance. It only recycles old thoughts and emotions. The I Am, on the other hand, creates from source, from totality, from what is unseen but already exists in pure vibrational form. Focusing from the I Am is the highest form of attention. It does not seek to manipulate the world, but trusts in creation itself. This is the true wand of power. To shift your focus to the I am, try the daily practice called the I am focus shift exercise. Sit in silence, place your hands on your heart, breathe deeply 3 times, and say mentally, I am the presence that observes. Visualize layers of presence, I am above, the higher self radiant and glorious, a cord of light connecting you, and below, you, here and now, recognizing the connection. Repeat, I am not this body, this emotion, or this thought. I am the presence that directs attention where it desires to create. Then choose an aspect to manifest, health, peace, clarity, and declare it consciously, I am perfect health in action now. Or, I am divine intelligence guiding this matter. Remain there, feel the vibrational field shifting, and finish. Thank you, Father. It is already done. Practice consistently. Treat it like training an antenna to stop picking up interference, because you are reprogramming your focus toward the divine. When this becomes your center, you no longer act from need, but from certainty. Personal experience taught me the power of focusing from the I am. When I first began practicing these teachings, saying I am this, I am that felt strange, like I was pretending to be powerful. But one day, in a very difficult financial situation, I decided, either I sink into fear or I rise in presence. Standing in front of the mirror with tears in my eyes, I firmly said, I am the abundance of God in action right now, repeating it not to convince myself but to tune myself. 2 days later, unexpected help arrived. Someone I had helped years earlier appeared with a check in hand saying, This is for you, you will not refuse it. Not coincidence, not mere vibrational response. My sustained attention from the I am activated a dormant reality. From that day I understood, it is not about praying beautifully or reciting decrees like recipes. It is about being in presence while you focus. When you focus from the I am, your words become creative, your body responds with healing, your environment reorganizes, solutions arrive effortlessly, people change or move away, and what seemed impossible aligns. You feel peace, not because everything is resolved, but because you are centered in who you truly are. So, my love, if you are going to use your wand, your attention, use it from your presence, not from your character. The character is tired, hurt, confused. The presence is intact, radiant, and powerful. And if you forget, stop, breathe, and say, I am who I am. That alone brings your focus home. With absolute certainty that everything responds to the I am, hold this phrase as your shield, compass, and wand. I am the divine attention that sees only what is true, perfect, and real. And as always, my dear, thank you, Father, it is already done. Chapter 8. The environment as a mirror of focus. Now we are entering a truth that can be hard to digest at first, but once you understand it, it liberates you like nothing else. Everything you see outside is a reflection of what you hold inside. That radical, that clear, that liberating. As long as you believe your environment is something that happens to you, that you have no control over, you live at the mercy of circumstances, waiting for the world to improve, for people to change, for conditions to align. But when you understand that the environment responds with millimeter precision to your inner focus, you stop asking, complaining, or manipulating, and begin to govern your world from within. Imagine your mind and emotional field as a radio station. Through your thoughts, words, emotions, and sustained beliefs, you are constantly broadcasting a frequency. That frequency radiates outward, bounces off the substance of life, and returns as your environment. Your physical world is the screen where your inner movie is projected. It is not punishment or coincidence. It is an exact vibrational mirror. Nothing external exists without your participation. Even unconsciously, you sustain it with your attention, reactions, or emotional identification. This is where true spiritual responsibility begins. Victimhood is the denial of your creative power. It is the ego's excuse to avoid taking responsibility for the life you are nourishing with your focus. Understanding this does not create guilt. It empowers you to reclaim your wand. As long as you believe the problem is outside, the solution will be outside. But when you realize everything begins in consciousness, freedom begins there too. Consider a domestic example. You arrive home to screams, arguments, and disorder. Do you join the chaos, or do you ask, what am I reflecting that this appears in my environment? Perhaps you are holding patience, judgment, or frustration inside, and that spreads without a word because the vibrational field acts silently. The same applies to economic crises, social problems, violence, or collective discouragement. Your attention fixed on fear, anger, complaint, or powerlessness feeds the collective field. Ask yourself, do you prefer to be right in your complaint, or do you prefer the power to transform it? Complaining may feel logical, but attention is creative. With each thought, you decide what you are sowing. Vibrational mirror exercise. Here is a revealing exercise that requires only your willingness. Choose an external situation that bothers you, at home, work, or in your surroundings. Describe it honestly. What do you see? What irritates you? What do you judge? Then ask yourself, what part of me is in vibrational affinity with this? What similar emotion am I holding silently? Where have I been placing my attention lately? Next, shift your energy. Instead of focusing on what you don't want, intentionally focus on what you do want. Peace, order, flow, joy. Repeat mentally. I am the presence that observes without contamination and transforms through its focus. Do this whenever something external pulls you out of your center. Little by little, your environment changes, or at least it no longer dominates you because you've withdrawn your attention, like removing fuel from a flame. One of the greatest achievements of metaphysical training is seeing without absorbing, being present without being swept away by emotional currents. Observe without judgment. Breathe and center your attention in your heart and invoke the presence. I am the invulnerable peace here and now. I observe but do not contaminate myself. This small act breaks the vibrational tie to what you do not wish to sustain. You no longer react, you create. You no longer get entangled, you emit. Nothing is sustained without your energy. No negative situation can hold if you do not feed it. It may exist, but it has no power over you and will eventually disappear if no one gives it attention, because negativity has no life of its own. It lives on what you give it. Ask yourself honestly, what reality am I giving my attention to? What situations am I feeding with complaint? What dramas am I perpetuating with interest? What relationships am I reinforcing by focusing on lack? When you see it clearly, withdraw your energy. Do not fight, judge, or explain. Simply release and refocus on what you want to see. Harmony, love, solutions, beauty. Like a gardener removing weeds and planting flowers, you transform your world. Everything outside is not the world, it is your world, responding precisely to your focus. Not because of guilt, but because you are a creator. Not because you asked for it, but because you sustained it. From your clear and loving center declare, I am the divine attention that transforms everything it observes, with my heart anchored in that living truth. Thank you, Father, it is already done. Chapter 9. Discipline without repression. Now we are touching on a critical but delicate point for anyone walking the path of consciousness, the difference between discipline and repression. There is a fine line between training with love and punishing yourself internally. If we don't see that line, we risk using attention like a spiritual whip, demanding perfection, scolding ourselves for every distraction, and fighting the mind as if it were an enemy. None of that is necessary. Firm attention is not tension, rigidity, or inner violence. It is softness with direction, like a river flowing powerfully without losing its form. Many confuse discipline with self-punishment, strict rules, or harsh demands, the ego's imitation of willpower without understanding. True discipline in metaphysics is love with consistency. It is a firm decision sustained over time, repeated gently until it becomes habit. It guides the mind like teaching a child to walk, with tenderness, patience, and a loving hand. Repression, on the other hand, blocks energy, hides it in the unconscious, and eventually causes overflow. People who repress may seem controlled but live tense, get sick, explode, or carry unnecessary guilt. Mastery is not repressing. It is understanding and guiding the mind wisely, like practicing wrong notes on an instrument until they are tuned. Imagine the mind as a garden. Remove weeds calmly and plant beauty in their place. Or as a 5-year-old child, you don't punish them for distraction. You patiently teach them again and again. Educating attention requires gentle firmness, respect, and gratitude for noticing distraction. Think of it like cooking a stew. You cannot rush it, leave it unattended, or turn up the heat too high. It must be stirred with care, adjusted, and watched patiently. Discipline in consciousness is consistency, loving attention, and a maternal decision, not rigidity or urgency. Every mind gets distracted, even mystics. What matters is returning each time, faster, more naturally and more kindly. Practice of inner kindness. Whenever your attention wanders or you judge yourself, pause without tension. Breathe, place your hand over your heart and say silently, "It's okay. I got distracted, and I return with love." Smile gently and redirect your attention where you wish, effortlessly, like looking at a flower you love. Repeat as needed. Each return becomes faster, lighter, and more natural. This is true spiritual progress, the grace and lightness of coming back, not the effort of rigidity. Analogies to cultivate a healthy relationship with attention, like caring for a pet. You don't leave it alone all day or punish it for mischief. You educate it with firmness and love. Like training a muscle, you don't force it until it breaks. You exercise it with rhythm. Like tuning an instrument, you don't bang it into tune. You tune it with your ear, with patience, with presence. This is how your mind is tuned. This is how attention is educated, with respect, gentleness, and consistency. If one day you feel tired, that you cannot do it, or that everything is slipping away, remember you are not competing with anyone. Your process is yours, unique and perfect in its rhythm. What matters is not doing everything perfectly. What matters is doing it consciously. For that, you need only one thing: to love yourself while you learn. That is the fuel of all real transformation. Now look at yourself with tenderness. Return your attention to your center and declare with certainty, "I am the presence that disciplines with love, without tension, without repression. My focus is gentle, firm, and joyful. And as always, with joy and full trust. Thank you, Father, it is already done." Chapter 10, Loving Vigilance of Thoughts. We've arrived at a point in this teaching that requires spiritual maturity and honesty, my love. Until now, we've talked about focus, the environment, the I am, and how to use attention as a creative wand. But what about those thoughts that sneak in without permission? The ones that linger, draining your energy, the internal voices you never invited yet sit at your table anyway, criticizing, fearing, doubting, and taking your peace as if it were free. I'll tell you plainly, if you do not watch your thoughts, they take control. They don't do it out of malice. They're just programmed that way. Thought is automatic by nature, but attention is the sentinel. If that sentinel is asleep or absent, the mental castle fills with unwanted tenants. This is why this chapter is called Loving Vigilance. It's not about chasing your mind, fearing negative thoughts, or worrying over every idea. It's about observing from your center, distinguishing without drama, redirecting without violence, creating an inner guard that is silent, firm, and awake. Understand something fundamental. Thought does not ask permission. It appears. Sometimes it arises from an external stimulus. Sometimes it's a repetition of an old idea. Sometimes an emotion disguised as a story. All thoughts have creative power, even if you don't consciously choose them. Because when you hold them, even for a few seconds, you give them your attention. And we know what that means. Where you place attention, you place power. So it doesn't matter if the thought is ugly, false, absurd, or undesirable. Keeping it on your mental screen, even to fight it, is like watering a plant you don't want to grow. Loving vigilance is not tension, it is presence. We are not talking about becoming a mental police officer that tires and overwhelms you. We are talking about developing active attention that distinguishes without judging, observes without dramatizing, and redirects without fighting. There are two ways to be in the mind: floating attention, which drifts reactively wherever a thought takes you, and active attention, which is present, alert, and consciously choosing where to stay. Most people live in floating attention, carried away by any thought, unaware they are antennas for old memories, foreign ideas, or undigested emotions. Active attention intercepts the thought before it takes the helm, and when it detects something it does not wish to sustain, it does not fight, blame, or panic. It simply says, "I do not choose to feed this. I choose something else." I will now give you a simple but effective system to develop inner vigilance without falling into obsession or mental fatigue. Practice it for a week, and you'll notice the difference. First, The mental logbook. Get a small notebook or open a note on your phone. Each time you notice a repetitive, negative, or useless thought, write it down. Type of thought, how it made you feel. Do not analyze, just record. At the end of the day, review not to punish yourself but to observe patterns. You'll see certain thoughts appear in the same moments, places, or in response to the same stimuli. Once you see it, you can interrupt the cycle. Second, the 60-minute alarm. Set a phone alarm every hour. When it sounds, pause for 30 seconds and ask, what am I thinking? Does this deserve my energy? Do I want to continue it or redirect it? If you decide to redirect, use a short decree as a reset button. I am the master of my mental focus. My thoughts obey my presence. I choose thoughts that expand me. Perfection is not required. The goal is creating the habit of interrupting inertia. Over time, the mind stops dragging you and begins to obey. Third, the interruption decree. Some thoughts are persistent like mosquitoes. When you detect a repetitive, draining thought, say internally, let this energy be cut and dissolved. I am the only power acting here. Speak from inner authority, not anger. You are reminding the mind who is in charge. Thoughts will escape. That's normal. The mistake is not thinking something negative but staying stuck and believing you cannot change it. When you notice your mind has wandered, do not scold yourself. Simply say, thank you for showing me where I am. I choose to return. Return without drama, guilt, or stress. The liberating principle, your mind is not you. You are the one who observes it, and you can choose to release it. The mind is a tool, not your identity. When your attention becomes a loving sentinel, the mind stops ruling you and begins to serve you. Every time you feel dragged, blocked, or sabotaged by a thought, breathe and affirm. I am the presence that thinks clearly, chooses wisely, and focuses with love. I watch my thoughts without fighting, without blame, without giving away my energy, with the certainty that comes from knowing who I am. Thank you, Father. It is already done. Chapter 11, How to Hold the Good in the Midst of Chaos. Here, my love, is where theory separates from practice, where those who repeat pretty phrases separate from those who truly live in consciousness, where reading metaphysics separates from becoming it. It's easy to hold the good when everything is calm, blue skies, flowing money, shining health, laughing children. But what happens when the world wobbles? Bad news arrives, bodies ache, someone leaves, headlines scream tragedy, the phone rings urgently, or the night feels endless. Where do you place your attention when everything shouts fear, loss, and uncertainty? This is urgent, because attention is a spiritual lifeline. Those who hold the good amid chaos have conquered true inner mastery. And this is not about denying reality or closing your eyes to pain. It's about not handing the helm of your ship to the storm. Chaos is not more powerful than your attention. Chaos has no power by itself. It becomes strong only when you give it sustained attention. The more you observe it with fear, anguish, or helplessness, the more you feed it. And what you feed grows. The world will show you difficult images. You cannot avoid that. But you can choose where to hold your consciousness. The secret is not changing what happens, but not changing yourself in response. When, in the midst of a crisis, you hold the certainty of the good, reality begins to reorganize according to your vibration, not passive magic, but a natural response to a centered consciousness. I want to share a real case. A mother came to my group with eyes full of questions. Her 19-year-old son had had an accident and was in a coma. The prognosis was not encouraging. Doctors spoke of possible irreversible damage. Nurses warned her not to hope. She asked, "With what you teach, how do I hold the good when all I hear is to prepare for the worst?" I answered, "My child, what you see is not the truth. What you hear is not the decree. The I Am presence in your son is intact, and if you keep seeing that, the body will respond." I gave her a simple exercise. Each time she entered the room, instead of looking at the motionless body, she closed her eyes and saw her son healthy, smiling, full of light, repeating silently, "I am perfect life manifesting in this moment." She was asked not to discuss the case with anyone who could not hold the same vision. For 3 weeks, she became a pillar of faith, not yielding to tears, reports, or statistics. She held the image of the good without faltering. One day, her son opened his eyes. Not only that, he began to speak, remember, and move. Today he walks, studies, and dreams. A miracle? Yes, but the true tool? A mother who did not let her attention leave the good, even when the whole world screamed otherwise. Vibrational refuge technique. This is a resource that can save you from emotional collapse when the outside world shakes. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and imagine an internal, luminous, silent space, a temple, a beach, or a golden sphere of light. Enter there with your consciousness and feel that nothing external can touch this place. From there, repeat, I am the center of peace that nothing can disturb. I am the good sustaining itself here and now. Stay a few minutes until you feel you have regained command. Do this whenever news, shouting, losses, or extreme situations threaten your stability. It is not escapism, it is internal governance. You cannot help the world if you sink into it. Exercise of radiating good. This exercise transforms energy around you while keeping you focused. Place yourself in a quiet space. Visualize your body filled with white or golden light. And from the center of your chest, radiate that light outward. First your home, then your city, then the world. Repeat aloud or silently. I am the presence radiating peace, light, harmony, and solution. Nothing external can alter the truth of the good. Use this whenever there are difficult news, collective challenges, family conflicts, or social chaos. It's not about ignoring, it's about not losing focus. Recommended reading, Psalm 91. Even if you are not religious, some passages in the Bible are true vibrational codes. Read Psalm 91 not as ancient words, but as a conscious decree of protection. 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come near you. This is not spiritual arrogance. This is focus. When you hold the good, chaos cannot enter your field, and if it does not stay. The good is not the absence of chaos. It is divine presence in the midst of it. My child, if you wait for everything to be perfect to maintain focus, you will never hold anything. The world is moving, changing, full of crises. You are not here to control the world. You are here to govern your consciousness, radiating order from within. So when everything outside screams loss, you scream louder with your energy. I am the presence of immutable good here and now. Stay there. Do not flee. Do not fight. Simply remain firm at your center. From that place of gentle power, say with me, I am the focus of divine peace amidst all appearances. I am the one who holds the good when everything else falls, and from my center I bless, illuminate, and transform. Thank you, Father, it is already done. Chapter 12, Attention as Daily Ascension. We've reached the final stretch of this journey, and what a wonder it is to have walked it with you. We've traveled the paths of focus, vigilance, the transformation of our surroundings, and inner governance. And now, my child, it's time to rise, not to the clouds, not to a distant sky, not to a mystical idea, but to a higher, clearer, more present consciousness within you. That is ascension. Not a leap to the beyond, but an elevation of the way you see, feel, and hold life from above. The most direct tool for this, yes, you guessed it, is your attention. You don't have to wait until death, wear white robes, or attend ceremonies. True ascension is a daily, continuous act. Every time you choose to see from a higher place, you are ascending. Living above is not escaping the earth. It's not about rejecting the world or pretending pain, confusion, or matter do not exist. It's about seeing all of it from another level. When you elevate your attention, choose to look from the truth of I am. Focus on the good, even if you do not yet see it. Bless instead of judge, and give thanks instead of complain. You are practicing ascension. This practice is daily, like spiritual bread for each day. A sustained vibrational state that elevates your experience, even if nothing external changes immediately. The world will not let you ascend. You must choose it. Here is something you must know. The world will not applaud you for staying high. It will tempt you, distract you, test you, because that is its job. And yours? To hold the focus without descending. You can be surrounded by asleep people, ugly news, low energies, and still live elevated. Not from pride, but from peace. Not from escape, but from vision. Not from contempt, but from understanding. It's like walking with your feet on the earth, but your heart in the sky. And my love, that is not just possible, it is necessary. Many people believe that prayer is closing your eyes and repeating formulas. Let me tell you something they may not have told you. Your sustained attention on the elevated is a constant prayer. When you focus on the noble, the beautiful, the true, choose thoughts of gratitude, refuse to dwell in fear, and discipline yourself with gentleness to see with the eyes of the soul, you are praying. That prayer needs no words. It becomes your vibration, your inner fragrance, your life frequency. From there, blessings are attracted naturally, like butterflies drawn to flowers, effortlessly, without begging, by the law. 7-day plan for conscious focus. Now something practical. A weekly plan for daily ascension so you can practice it, live it, and make it flesh and consciousness. Day 1. Observe without judgment. Every time a thought of criticism or judgment arises, replace it with, I am the one who sees from truth. Day 2. Specific. Gratitude. Make a list of 10 things you are grateful for with focused attention. Do not repeat the usual things. Feel each as if experiencing it for the first time. Day 3. Attention to the body. During the day, focus on feeling your hands, feet, and breath. Anchor your attention in the body as a temple, not a machine. Day 4. Vigilance of words. Commit not to complain, speak of the past, or repeat bad news. Say only what elevates. If you cannot elevate, remain silent. Day 5. Visualization of the good. Take a situation that is unresolved and focus it with light. Visualize the good manifesting as if it were already done, repeating, I am the visible solution here and now. Day 6. Conscious irradiation. Think of someone you've struggled to forgive or someone who needs light. Radiate them with your loving attention. I am the presence that blesses. Day 7. Review the path. Write what changed in your attention over the week. Observe without judgment. Give thanks for progress and say, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Focused Gratitude Journal. I also invite you to keep a special journal, not to write everything that happens, but to record what you chose to focus on consciously, where you maintained attention despite chaos, which thoughts you redirected, where you saw beauty instead of complaint, and which decrees you used with firmness. This journal is your personal book of ascension for bringing consciousness into the here and now. When you read it a month, a year, or 10 years later, you will see how attention transforms more than 1,000 efforts. Ascension is not flying, it's seeing from higher. As I close this book, I want to gift you this final understanding. You did not come to this world to fight the shadow. You came to ignite the light. You did not come to convince anyone. You came to live so high that others want to rise too. You did not come to renounce matter. You came to spiritualize it with your gaze, intention, and focus. And that focus, my child, is your tool of daily ascension. It is not just for Sundays, retreats, or temples. It is for when you wash dishes, read the news, speak with your mother, walk to work, when everything seems ordinary. That is where elevation happens, not above here. So now, with all your heart, with your fully awake soul, with all you have practiced, learned, released, and transformed, say with me with the certainty of one who has ascended and does not descend. I am the elevated attention walking on earth with a skyward gaze. I am daily ascension in action. I am the presence that chooses to see only truth, good, beauty, and light. And this is what manifests. And with a serene smile, with the living flame of the heart alight, I tell you, as always, as never before, thank you, Father, it is already done.